Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's talk, where we embark on a journey through time and memory by listening to our dear speaker's personal experience with Penang Hill. We all remember Penang Hill from different things, from its exciting funicular rides to the nostalgic bungalow stays. Penang Hill certainly holds a very special place in all of our hearts. Today, we are fortunate to have with us a panel of esteemed speakers whom we will be moderated by Mr. Alan Tan, the Executive Director of the Habitat Penang Hill, and to share with us their cherished memories of Penang Hill. Before we begin, please allow me to introduce our moderator, Mr. Alan, whom many of us are familiar with. Mr. Alan is a lawyer by training and an environmentalist by accident. A Penang boy through and through, Alan is proud to have played a part in the creation, ongoing development, and the evolution of the Habitat Penang Hill, as it seeks to prove that business can be a force for good and that environmental stewardship is good for business. As a purpose-driven business, the Habitat seeks to contribute toward the conservation of biodiversity through research, education, and sustainable ecotourism, and measures its success on the triple bottom line approach of impact on people, planet, and prosperity. Alan is also tremendously proud to have played a part in the successful nomination and subsequent designation of the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve under the UNESCO's Man and the Biosphere Program, and looks forward to continuing to work to help Penang demonstrate that economic development and progress does not have to come at the expense of the environment, and that human beings can indeed live in harmony with nature. Without further ado, I will now pass the floor to Mr. Alan to begin the session.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And thank you to PHC and the great team from PHC for organizing a wonderful festival. This is day 2 of the Penang Hill Festival. I'd like to welcome you all here to the Champagne Lounge at Bellevue Hotel, historic Penang Hill Hotel here on Bukit Bendera. So, as you all know, we're here for our esteemed panelists to share their intimate memories of Penang Hill. And I think it's really special because we all have a Penang Hill story. Everyone in Penang, and even from abroad, have a story that's connected to Penang Hill. My late father once told me about how he ran up the hill in just under an hour, thinking that his friends were way ahead of him, but only to find out later when he reached the top that they hadn't even started hiking yet and they were way behind him. My earliest memory of Penang Hill happens to be connected to Uplands here on the crag. I was at Uplands in Georgetown at Gurney Drive at the time, in Form 4, and we actually hiked up to crag to do an article for the yearbook that year. So esteemed speakers today include an alumnus of the Uplands School at the Crag Hotel, a long-time permanent resident of Penang Hill whose wife is sitting there very elegantly in the hat and the red top in the back, Captain Joan. Good morning. And a current resident and owner of a beautiful bungalow here on Penang Hill, whose wife is also here, and whose mother-in-law is here in the crowd, I'm told. Good morning, and welcome. So without further ado, our first speaker today is Ms. Linda Batten. Linda's father was an engineer with Sokfin Limited, a French rubber and palm oil company with estates all over Malaysia in the 50s. When the Uplands School was set up in the 50s, Linda started at the school in 1956, and was there until 1962, before leaving for the UK for school. Linda went on to take a secretarial course in college, and upon leaving college, eventually started to work as a medical secretary and worked in places such as Birmingham, Worcester, and Macclesfield. In 2010, Linda heard that there would be a reunion of alumni at Uplands in Penang, and decided to come to Penang and catch up with various ex-students. Lo and behold, as fate would have it, Linda ended up applying for MM2H in Sarawak in 2020, just before the lockdown. Linda has since then helped to arrange the 65th Uplands reunion in March 2020, which was eventually reduced to 25 people only because of the looming COVID pandemic. Linda still lives in Penang and has so many memories of traveling to and from school by plane and then up the funicular all the way to Upland School at the former Crag. We are privileged today to have Linda with us to share some of her happy memories of living and schooling on Penang Hill in the 50s and 60s. And Linda is actually calling in from the UK, as you can see. It is very late at night. Thank you, Linda, for staying up and just to be with us today. And I'll hand over the floor to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning from here at 2:30 in the morning. Now, my slides will be coming up soon, I think. But Alan, you did a very good job of introducing me and just tracing my time and the reason I managed to get to Uplands in Penang Hill and my memories of my time there. It's been such a pleasure to have such a long association with Malaysia as well as Penang Hill. So I've been up the hill in the last 4 years, probably about 10 or 20 times to show people around or to just see how the progress is or not of Uplands. And I've met so many really lovely people in Penang since I've moved there. Unfortunately, as Alan said, I am in the UK at the moment because of personal circumstances. And I wish I was there because it has been very cold here. So anyway, without much ado, the slide should start. So he basically explained the reason I was sent. My father was working with SOCFIN and various members of the Society of Planters set up Uplands at the old Crag Hotel. There was not only planters' children, but tin miners' children as well. We also had a few Thai girls that came. We managed to get our heads and tongues around the names of them over the years. 𝐴𝐰𝐵𝐴, Patpong Planet, 𝐂𝐡𝐦𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐻, Kanchanagaband, and Monty Road. So anyway, shall we? Right. Well, I'm just looking at the. Okay. So then my mother took me there. I'd have very hazy memories of getting to the school, but of course we did have the occasional bicycle driver or rider who would take us to the school, but that was really not very common. We'd have to walk from, I think it was Upper Hill Station. But starting at school, we learnt to study Latin, English, maths, geography, history and science, as well as piano, with Madam Chin, who used to come up the hill to teach us, and was very insistent that if we played a wrong note on the piano, we always had a rap across the knuckles with a ruler, and we also had ballet for the girls. Sports played a big part. We had climbing frames, one of which is still on the old playground, and girls used to play netball. There were also long jumps and runs into the along the footpaths around. We were also able to go to the swimming pool, Penang Swimming Club, where we used to have competitions as well. So we had a lot of outdoor activities that we enjoyed. And also, I remember playing with those, I think it's called gassing, those wooden tops with a nail underneath, and we would toss those on the ground and play marbles and all sorts of other old-fashioned type of games. So, the next slide. Okay. So, different anecdotes have come to me from various people. One of them I remember discussing about a scorpion landing on somebody's head. She was the matron's daughter. The Latin teacher's daughter tied a piece of string around one of its claws and walked it around like a dog. I wasn't very happy about it because it was tied to a table leg while we were made to write out lines. I will not do whatever it was, scribble on my writing book or whatever other misdemeanour I got up to. And another time when we were reminiscing at the last reunion, somebody was recalling a time when they went for the boys went for a walk and they went past this bee's nest and there were boys being boys, they were a bit curious and poked it. Much to the bees' annoyance, and the boys really never forgot this, so obviously stuck in their memories. Another thing I remember was the next slide, sorry. Yeah, thanks. We had students who tried to run away. I remember one particular one, she was brought back from the station. Usually the railway staff would probably contact the school and bring the children back. We were always told there was a hunter in the jungle, that we should stay away from the jungle, but I know that was probably in order to keep us from straying into the jungle. And obviously being during the emergency, the reason that the parents sent us to the school was it was safer on the island, but we also were involved with the fact that, you know, sometimes we'd hear aeroplanes flying low overhead, someone speaking into the loudspeaker from it in various languages, and leaflets were distributed asking any communists to surrender. Some children managed to collect these, still have copies of them. I did, but with the mists of time, mine's disappeared. So it was very interesting times, but we always felt safe there, in the care of all the teachers that looked after us. They were all very caring, very almost like our proxy mother and father, away from home. And we did enjoy having the games and I'm sure lots of things to keep us occupied. Next slide. Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins is one of the headmaster and headmistress we had. We started with the chess club, which we all learnt and had competitions in. I should really try and remember how to play chess. It's a very good game, but I tend not to play that. I'm playing mahjong now, which is interesting. The various teachers had great influence on our school life, and they were really good teachers. That it was such a good grounding at Athens. It was like the cornerstone of our future education. All of us felt that it was the best school we've been to in our schooling life. We had a sports teacher, good-looking Mr. Parry, who was very popular amongst everyone, and he used to ride a motorcycle up to school. He also taught geography. I remember being in trouble with him once because I put a piece of paper covered in ink on the end of a ruler and was trying to fire it from my desk onto somebody else. But unfortunately it hit Mr. Parry, so I was in trouble. I also broke the ruler, but anyway, that's one of the times I was a bit bored in the class, I think. Anyway, next slide, please. So the thunderstorm, well, we all know about thunderstorms out in Penang, and we had, because we were so high up, we felt as if we were right in the thunderstorms. When the lightning struck the wires, the bulbs would light up. And I do remember one evening when I was so frightened lying in bed with the thunder and lightning around, I grabbed anything that was rubber and rushed into another girl's bed and there we were, sort of hoping the storm would go away very soon. But there was also another time when we used to have, in the houses, if anybody's ever been around the Prague, the bathrooms are downstairs underneath the sleeping areas, and we used to have plays or stay down there safely underneath the dormitories. We used to put on plays, and back in January this year, the friend from those days, Veronica Bagaman, she came back to Penang. It's the first time I've seen her in 45 years. And we recognised each other straight away, and she and I recalled the time when she was sat on the lid of the toilet and was thrown forward when lightning struck the iron pipes. So a memory like that always stays in my life. And I took a photograph of her sat on the old toilet when she was here. It was a good meet up with Veronica, and she was very emotional when she went down the school with me. As we remembered all the different places we'd been. So the next slide, please. Okay. And so really from Uplands we used to sit our common entrance exams for admissions to schools in England, Australia or Singapore. And we did, a few of us had a reunion at the Royal Commonwealth Institute in London. All of us said that Uplands was the best school we attended. Excellent education, unique experiences and devoted staff, which I can only say is still in existence at the international, Uplands International School now. And I'm so pleased to see it going from strength to strength, and I'm sure Alan feels the same way, and any other members of the audience who went to Uplands as well. I'm very proud of my association with Uplands and Penang Hill, and it's nice to know that this time, well no, it's going to be March next year, 2025, and there's a big celebration for the 70th anniversary of Uplands founding. So there will be many people coming from all over the world to the reunion in Penang to celebrate our foundation, and I'm sure Alan you'll be there, and so will many of our friends. So hopefully we will all meet up again. Can I see the next slide, please? Okay, so there's, I'll just run through these quickly. I don't know if you can see me, but that's me on the left with a scary haircut, and two friends. And on the right is one of the old buildings we sat around the playground there. And I can't remember if that might be the senior girls' room, but that used to change from time to time. On the next slide, on the left is me. I'm standing at the Bellevue Hotel with the school in the background. Not a very good picture, but I'm sure you've seen those images up there. There were the vipers that used to sit in the pergola there. So that's a group of us on the right. That's a class I wasn't in, but I recognise most of the people there. And there's one of the Thai girls, 𝐂𝐡𝐦𝐿, sitting in the front row. Next slide. Okay, some boys on the left, obviously not happy with having a photo taken. And I'm in the right-hand picture, circled, with Mr. Parry, our geography teacher and sports master. Akivan Panis is fourth from the left, and behind Mr. Parry is John Humble, and his mother was the matron at the time I was there. The top row on the left is Jacob Overman. That's him again in New Orleans where he was living, and he was one of the paramedics who helped during the disastrous hurricane that hit New Orleans, and he was very kind to pick me up from the airport and show me around all the places that were flooded, and that's Domino's house and various other points of interest in New Orleans. But sadly, he died about 2 years ago, so we weren't able to catch up again. And the next slide. Okay, that's just one of our lovely matrons who used to look after us. And on the right, top right, is Veronica Backerman, who I'm meeting again in January. The other girls, I've forgotten their names at this point. So, the next slide. Okay, there's some junior boys in 1959 walking up from, as you can see in the background, you can see the entrance to Auckland's or the Craig Hotel. And I think latterly, Philip took this Margaret on. She used to live in one of those two houses on the left. So the first play would be put on by us. But very few parents would, I remember, would be coming up to it, but unless you lived in Penang, they didn't tend to come up to the school. So the next one. So basically that wraps me up with all the photographs and so on. And I just want to say thank you for your interest. I'm so proud to have been associated with the early days of Auckland and Penang Hill from an early age. Hopefully, Penang will continue to blossom into a warm and welcoming area of outstanding beauty, free from over-tourism and over-commercialisation, which is a problem all over the world. And when you listen to our speakers, you'll understand the love they have for the hill, Penang, and its future. And just to wrap it up and just saying that next year, in March, will be our big reunion. And Penang, sure, will see posters all over the place advertising it. So I'll hand over to you, Alan.
Cheers. Thanks so much, Lynn. Thanks so much for sharing those gems from your personal collection, those beautiful pictures of your time at the Crag.
Sorry, it's broken.
That's right. I said thank you so much for sharing those beautiful gems from your personal collection, and I think you are one of the few, privileged few, I would say, who have experienced living at the Crag. And on the point about uplands, and my memories of uplands, my time at uplands as well, are very, very fond and warm. And to this day, my closest friends and my lifelong friends are actually all from my time in uplands. So I share your love for the school. I didn't have the privilege of experiencing Penang Hill, but I know friends who have, and they have beautiful fond memories of taking the train up every day and walking there, doing pajama walks. I'm told pajama walks are really popular. So you wear your pajamas at night and you go for a walk in Penang Hill. Apparently it's a thing. So thanks so much, Lynn, and thank you so much again for staying up and sharing all these memories with us. And I'm sure everyone will understand if you decide to drop off early and go to bed or go back to bed. Thanks so much again, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan.
So as Lynn was saying just a moment ago, I think when you're touched by Penang Hill, when Penang itself, of course, is a wonderful place, and people that have come to Penang and lived here or been associated with it have very deep connections, to the place. And I dare say that Penang Hill is a little subset of Penang. Is even more special in that way, because if you have been touched by Penang Hill, you have an association with Penang Hill, I'm sure speakers, when you listen to their stories today, you will see how deep that connection is and how special it is. So our next speaker is... Yes, of course, yes. Lynn. Then can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Many years ago, I met a student who was probably at Uplands during your time, and she asked me, she said, is the elephant rock still there? And she had a sly smile on her face. I wonder what elephant rock was or is. Does it mean anything to you? Elephant
I'm
rock.
sorry, I couldn't, I couldn't hear the first part of your question.
Some years ago, I met a woman who was at Uplands in about your time.
Yes.
And she asked me if the elephant rock is still there.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes.
It means something to you?
As you, yes, as you go along.
What is it about?
You go along the. Sorry?
No, she had a sly smile, so I wondered what it meant.
Can I use it? Yeah. No, then Ahmad is asking whether you could enlighten us about what elephant rock at the crag is, because he's not sure what it is.
Yes. On the path toward Upland, on the left, as you look up, there's one of those great big rocks, and if you stand back a bit, you can. It was always called the Elephant Bum. So everybody knew it as Elephant's Bottom or whatever. So yeah, we were nowhere near Uplands when we walked along there.
That's a great story.
And the lovely lady that's still there, our home at the entrance, she was a brilliant cook for us at the school, so she's there with her dog, and we say hello to her when we go through.
I find it remarkable that our home is still there to this day.
I know.
And you know, of course, she's just one of the many long-term residents here on the hill, as Ahmad and Raj will attest to, I'm sure. So, thanks so much, Kendon. I'm just gonna move on to our next speaker, Mr. Ahmad Sheikh, and Auntie Joan Shori, who's in the back there. After his secondary school education at the Federation, now Royal Military College, Ahmad worked as a seamanship instructor at the Outward Bound School in Lumut for a year, after which he went to Britain to read engineering at Nottingham University. After graduating, he worked for Shell Oil in Pulau Bukum, Singapore, and various places in West and East Malaysia, before leaving to start his own engineering consultancy firm. In this capacity, he did several World Bank and ADB-funded projects in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Samoa. Lastly, he broadened into construction before selling all his interests and moving to Penang in the early 90s to volunteer his time with NGOs active in the conservation of the natural and built environments. He has been fully retired since 2010, although I question that somewhat. And today, Ahmad Sheikh will share some of his earliest memories of Penang Hill with us, and also share a little about his beloved home on the hill, fondly known as Thru or Bukit Pinang Bungalow. Ahmad?
Hello, everyone. Yes. My wife can hear me. But a short can hear me.
Why don't you use this one?
Hello.
I think you need to hold it a bit closer.
Hello. No. Hello. So we're doing it, isn't it? Okay. Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for taking the trouble to come and hear what I have to say. I am not the oldest resident of Penang Hill, not by any means. I've lived here only for 40 years. I was hoping Raja would be here, but he's not. He's been living here. He was born here actually, and he's now in his 60s, so it's much older resident. And there are other families, the Pei family, another woman here, and they've been living on Penang Hill for generations, in fact. Anyway, I'll be happy to share what memories I have of Penang Hill since my stay here. And I'll be talking about my house, which seems to have create a lot of interest. And in the process, I'll be talking about the people associated with it and a few bits of trivia. I had lived in many places in Eastern West Malaysia, and our last port of call, as it were, was Kuala Lumpur. We lived there for a long while. And we had actually expected to retire in Kuala Lumpur, where all our friends were and still are. But then we were raised in a small family, and we decided that Kuala Lumpur is not the place to bring up kids. It was polluted, the traffic even then was quite bad, and not very friendly place. And we looked around for alternatives. And at that time, the house where we lived in now came up in the market. It was advertised for sale. We actually looked at another house on Penang Hill before that, but that didn't work out. It was in fact treetops, but somehow that didn't work out. So we looked at this house, and the first time we saw the house, it was really welcoming and very familiar, and really was sort of made for us. And we actually bought it almost immediately. And it was many years later before I realized that why it looked so familiar and so welcoming. The house was in a very poor state. It was a dreadful state, in fact, but even so we bought it immediately because it looked so welcoming. As I said, it was many years later before I realized why it was so familiar. I lived in Batu up to my pre-teen years, and every Raya, the kids, the 10 and 11-year-olds, would come to Penang Hill. We would take the bus, cross over in the ferry, take the bus to the bottom station, and then take the train up. I mean, there were 3 or 4 of us, all 10-year-olds. It's not something which you would do now, but in those days it was quite safe for even 10-year-olds to wander off on their own. And when we got to the club, we would walk along Summit Road. Don't forget, we were in our brand new Raya clothes, which included stiff leather shoes. And by the time we got to about 1 kilometer, the shoes started to hurt. And blisters would come up, and we were forced to hobble back to the station. And this happened year after year after year. And it was then that I realized why the house was so familiar. We got as far as the house and we had to turn back every time. When we first came to Penang Hill in the late 80s, Penang Hill was a very different place, very different indeed. Everything was very run down. The place is a very abandoned, neglected place. Look about it. And every bungalow, except Broadhead, was in very, very bad shape. In those days, all the bungalows were owned by the rich, all rich Penang families. And they never came up at all, except for once a year. And the house was left very much in the care of their caretakers. sorry I have to do this, but I have everything on my phone. In contrast to that, there was very lively community in Penang Hill. There were about 50 families living in Penang Hill, mostly caretakers, people who work with 𝐂𝐸𝐻, the railway, the council, and we had the full services. We had full-time people living on Penang Hill from the TND, from telecoms, so the family who are living here, medical workers. Also, we have policemen, a lot of policemen here. You remember this? Do you remember the police at all? No. And the community was really wonderful, very warm, very caring community. They've been the community in here for, I suppose, since the early days of Penang Hill. It was very multiracial, multicultural, and fully integrated. Not only did they know each other well, but in some cases they intermarried. We joined up in all our festivals, and Merdeka was a special time. We had Merdeka celebrations, one is a big party for the children and games. And if there's anything at all that I miss about the old times of Penang, it was that. That community is gone, and I don't suppose it will ever come back again. It was very safe, very free. My children were very young then, were playing badminton on the road. And even though my eldest boy was about 10, he would wander off for the whole day on his bicycle, and we wouldn't see him until dinner time. And it was very, very safe. And of course, it's not like that anymore. As I said, our house was in very bad shape, and there's a house, and we had to do extensive renovation. And in the process, we discovered a lot of things about the house, some small mysteries, and some of the people associated with it. The original name was Through. Can you show this slide with an arm? That's it. It's called Through. When we bought the house, the name was something else. It was called Opa Villa, because the owners then were Thai miners, and they had a mine in Opa, a town in South Thailand. But it didn't mean very much to us. And Through also at that time didn't mean anything to us. I mean, it had no meaning. So we called our house Bukit Bendera. It was much later before we discovered the significance of Through. By that time, of course, Bukit Bendera stopped and we can't use Through anymore. The house was built by Mr. Hamilton, who was a very senior civil servant in the colonial service in Singapore, Singapore Malaya then. He built a house as a retirement home for him and his wife. And Through is the family motto. The Hamiltons were a very famous and big Scottish family. And I was corrected. Not clan, it's a family. Anyway, throw is the family motto. There's a very interesting and romantic story how the motto came to be adopted, but I wouldn't bother you with it. Can you show the other slide about me? That's a beer mat actually, but there's Hamilton, so the name and the motto to go with it. The second mystery was, can you go back to that stone earlier? Yeah. The second mystery was the date. July 10, 1926. For a long while we thought it was a name and the date when the house was completed. But Mike Gibby, who unfortunately is not here, who wrote the lovely book, Bungalows of Penang Hill, discovered that the date was when Mrs. Milton died suddenly in Singapore from cholera. And it's sobering for me to know that in my garden is a stone which marks a tragic event and the shattering of a dream. Anyway, when Mrs. Milton died, Milton gave the house to his daughter, who was married to a chap called, let me get this right, Terence Cohen Beckett-Terrell, who was a lawyer in Penang and a very prominent citizen. He became the acting Chief Justice of Malaya just before the war. He left for Australia just before the war started, and when the war ended, he was not allowed to come back and resume his post. He took the case through the British courts and went all the way up to the House of Lords, which in Britain is the highest court in the land, but he lost the case. No reason was stated why he was not allowed to come back, why he was actually dismissed. But it was speculated that he left the country before the Japanese arrived. There was instructions then that all British officials should stay in their post until the Japanese arrived to maintain order and over to the Japanese. So he, I suppose, effectively deserted his post, and for that he was not allowed to come back. He died a very disappointed man, and soon after that his wife sold the property. This was told to me by Tan Sri 𝐶𝐚 who was a very senior judge who was living in Penang retirement. This leads me to another bit of trivia about the house. That gate there is, most people who walk past the house would look at the gate and even take photographs. When we bought the house, we didn't have that gate. But someone told us that Tan Sri 𝐶𝐚 had that gate in his house. Many years later, after being informed that, I met 𝐶𝐚 at dinner, and so very, very sort of cautiously I said, not cautiously, but very sort of definitely I said, Tan Sri, do you know that you have the gate to my house? He looked at me with horror, and he said, yeah, take it back. You know, I said, I got now. Anyway, I refused, but after a lot going on throwing, I got it back, so it's there. He told me that the gate was bought by Terence Beckett-Terrell in Florence as a birthday present for his wife. It's a very odd birthday present, but that's the story. Before moving on, I will like to show you some old photos of the house and the people associated with it very quickly. That woman is, I can't remember her name, but Mr. and Mrs. Griffith, they listed as soon after we bought the house. She lived in the house before the war. Can you show the next one now? Well, you can't see her, but that's her. One with the silhouettes is her. That was taken in 1941, I think. Show next one. No, next one, please. No, next one. Next one, please. Next one. Next one. Okay. Now, that's 𝐂𝐡𝐦𝐤𝐢𝐿. He was that was taken in 1941. He was a caretaker. He looked after the house from about the time it was built. He was in the house as caretaker when we bought it in the 1980s. And, well, he looked after the house for a long, long while. So I'm really grateful to him. Can you show next photo? That's him. Just before he passed away, by the time we bought the house. His daughters don't live on Hill anymore, but they have a business in the food stores there. So I think the association is quite interesting for me, certainly. Can you go back again to the issue? Okay, so go back. That was the house in the early 50s. The chap standing there is Liston. Prosper Liston was established businessman in Penang, a big rubber trader, a president of the turf club, big owner of turf club. And he was a shareholder in a company called A.A. Anthony, which is probably the oldest company in Malay. It was established in 1830. It still exists now. It is a stockbroking firm. The girl there is his daughter, Pat, who we met. Can you go on this? That's her in about 10 years ago. And that's 𝐂𝐤𝐞𝐽. After 𝐂𝐤𝐽 has passed away, and I'm not sure where she's going. That was taken at the home in Bangor. Okay, next one please. Next one. Yeah, that was done when he visited us. Next one. Okay, we did that through that. We did through that. Go back in place. That's Pam in the garden. That bird feed is missing, but I have since bought another bird bath, and it's still in the garden. Okay, next one please. There's a house. There's nothing to my talk, but I love this photograph, and a policeman, these lovely long shots and wearing wings. Can you see that? Directing traffic on Beach Street. Okay. Next one, please. That was Pam's sister when they visited us much later, and her husband. Okay. Anyone? Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No, I'm not finished.
You're not done yet?
Sorry. You can't get enemy so easily. Yeah, okay. I'm finishing now. In the 40 years I've been here, there have been tremendous changes. Indeed, when we came here, it was a sleepy hollow, and an abandoned, almost abandoned old colonial hill station. And it's changed to a very vibrant society. Very lovely, very vibrant, very popular destination for tourists. But the part which I like very much, the development has brought a lot of prosperity to the residents. Penang Hill is now very well maintained. You can see yourself, it's very well landscaped. All the paths are well maintained, and it's a pleasure to walk on them. And what is very gratifying is to see the path being used. We see more and more visitors walking along the path and enjoying themselves, which is what Penang Hill is really all about. Habitat is a great addition to our asset. It's really very well done, very well designed, very well made, and well managed. It's really something we should be proud of. And of course, being made a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve is definitely a step in the right direction. On the whole, the changes have been positive, and I welcome them. I got only one grouse, and I think the Summit Road used to be a lovely walk for families. People could walk along there slowly, enjoy the views, enjoy the what's there to see. But it's now become a race track for buggies. And this is my hope that something should be done. Unfortunately, the pork chop is not here anymore. So I say that again. I hope that something can be done to make the Summit Road what it was. A lovely place for families to walk and enjoy the views. And I'd like to end with just a plea, very similar to what Linda says. Penang is a precious asset for all of us. 20% of our water comes from Penang Hill. And in a world when water is going to be a big issue, we should preserve it. For that, if for nothing else. And it also contains a lot of biological treasures. So let us preserve Penang Hill. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I love that picture of Amran, your son, in the red t-shirt outside the house. It took me a while to recognize him, but it's really a pleasure to see him. And I cannot imagine what a delightful upbringing your children had, living on the hill and commuting every day downtown to school, and just really you and Auntie Joan live a charmed life in my eyes, and you truly are blessed. And you live the way that we all should live and want to live.
But can I just add to that? Actually, they really enjoy the childhood very much living in Penang because they had no friends. And we had planned we had to be a special arrangement to bring friends. Well, let me tell you this. We had a birthday party for my second son in the house. He was about 8 years old. And it finished about 8 o'clock. So we all sat early down. And then it stormed. And we had horrible landslides. Not as bad as the one in 2011, but we had landslides whoosh, cut up the hair for 2 weeks. But can you imagine if we had not sent the kids down at 8 o'clock and we had the lesson before that? Can you imagine living in a house with about 20 kids for 2 weeks? So in that way we were very lucky.
Actually, on a personal note, since you touched on the habitat, I want to share with everyone here a little how 𝐼𝐼𝐼 is involved and connected to the habitat. It was actually 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and Mr. Raja who asked our founder and chairman, Mr. Harry Cockrell, to come Harry, come and have a look at this site for a nature trail and a panic walk. And it was because of them, really, that we have the habitat today on the fringes of the Bukit Bendera Forest Reserve, overlooking this beautiful valley and the UNESCO biosphere and so on and so forth. So if it weren't for you and Mr. Raja, I think we may not be here today. Or at least we may not be where we are today. So thank you for that. Shall we take some quick questions or save it for later? Save it later. Okay. All right. So thank you again, 𝐼𝐼𝐼, for sharing those lovely anecdotes and the beautiful history of Bukit Penang, or Through bungalow. Of course, one of only 52 bungalows on Penang Hill, and each one with a name and not a number. So each with a unique history of its own. So our next speaker and final speaker is Dr. 𝐵 Rajananda. He is Penang born, but spent most of his life outside of Penang. Dr. Raj started his career as a research scientist and then switched to the corporate world, focusing mainly on business development initiatives. In his own words, he is currently semi-retired, does some consultancy work, and also runs Hickory Guest House as a hobby. Dr. Raj, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Adam. That was short and sweet. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending to listen to the talk. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. Let me just before I start on the talk, just explain that my association with Penang Hill is a little limited. I only have been here for the last 10 years. So my memories of Penang Hill are most recent, and also as a child we used to come up and visit Penang Hill. So my talk will be a little bit about those early days, the more recent days, and also a little bit about the history of Hickory, the bungalow that I have, and one of its owners that is a central character of the Hickory story. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is me. This is the early days, my memories of Penang Hill. I used to come up with my family, but that's my dad and my mom and my sister towards the left. And we used to stay at Hillside. My dad was in the government service in Penang. And so we used to come up quite often, and the picture on the right is, as you can recognize, is the Upper Tunnel Station in the early 60s. And we used to go for walks. Those days the trees were looked much bigger to me than they are now, and it used to be misty most of the time during the walks. Those misty days are, I think, gone now, or less frequent. So those are first memories and very fond memories. And the rationale for coming back to Penang and coming back to Penang Hill to spend the last 2 decades is, firstly I was Penang born, but hardly lived here. My dad was in the government service, so after the 1960s we left, and we didn't come back at all. And so that was one reason. And my childhood memories, of course, of Penang Hill were very fond, and still etched in my memory. And I wanted to continue a legacy of having something in Penang, which was started by my great-grandfather and on and downwards. So I wanted to re-establish that link. And of course, the environment of Penang Hill was pristine, very nice. Why hickory? Well, actually, it's purely serendipity that I managed to get to know hickory. The previous owner and I, we had a business relationship on something completely different. And in passing, in one of the chats he lamented he had a bungalow in Penang Hill and he didn't know what to do. He wasn't looking to sell. I wasn't looking to buy. But the conversation went in that direction. I came and had a look, and that's how it started. So eventually, I decided to buy it, principally because I wanted a place to stay. But eventually, after having bought it, I changed my mind. I wanted to stay back where I was staying now in Taiping. I think most of you know Taiping is a nice, slow backwater town with the hill resort there, Maxwell Hill, and beautiful lake gardens, slow moving, ideal for retirees. So I decided, okay, since I have something on Penang Hill, allow others to stay. Because at that time, there were very few places, decent places for visitors to stay. They'll come up, walk around, and get back. There was, of course, 𝐵𝐵ellevue Hotel as well established, but apart from that, there wasn't any decent place that could accommodate guests as well as provide meals. So that's how it started. So what was meant to be a home eventually became a lodge, a guest house. So the third column is the history of how it started. Exactly 10 years ago, 2014. But it was in a pretty poor shape. Structurally very strong, but it looked very tired looking. So we had to do some work on it. So it took about 5 years for the renovations. Fortunately, my wife runs a construction company in Taiping. She's sitting here, Angie. That's my wife. So her workers came and did all the renovations. So it's done slowly and carefully, and there was no rush. So it took about 5 years. And it's been operating as a lodge since 2018. Next, please. Just to give you an idea of where we are, this is Penang Hill. Sorry. Sorry? Okay. Can you see the circle there? Now that is hickory. It's on Lower Tunnel Road. The next road above it is Upper Tunnel Road, and then you have Summit Road. Yeah? So it's 2 roads below Summit Road. The map is expanded actually, so it looks very far from each other, but it's not. In fact, the Summit Road is very close to the crest. So the distance between the Summit Road and the crest is actually non-existent. And 𝐵𝐷eellevue, where we are now, is actually on the crest. So you can imagine, yeah. So we are off the beaten track, really. It's a very quiet place. Not many people will stop off there, unless they want to specifically come to Hickory, in which case they'll get off at Lower Tunnel Station, which is just a 3 minutes walk from Hickory. So this is give you an idea of where Hickory is in relation to the other bungalows. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's Hickory. Can you next slide, please? Okay, this is the history of the ownership. It was built in the early or mid-20s by a rich tin miner, also from Taiping Laru area. But Wall Street crash came along, and he had to let go to the next owner, who kept it for about 80 years in his family. And he's one of the shareholders of 𝐂𝐡𝐦𝐻 Radio. Some of you may be familiar with 𝐂𝐡𝐻 Radio in Penang. By the time he came to the third generation, they were at no interest. And then the third owner came. He's a shareholder of Kobe Industries. He's the gentleman whom I met. And he kept it for a few years as an occasional retreat. Again, he had no much interest in it, and so in 2014 I took it over, and the history started from there. Okay, next please. Okay, the name Hickory is actually not the official name. The official name is shown on the first quadrant there, Dolce Dolmen. It's Latin for sweet home. Dulce is sweet, Dolmen is home. That was the name given to Hickory by the first owner. It was from his school anthem in the UK. The Japanese military occupied it during the Second World War because they had a very good view of the approach to the harbour and all the way to Vainlapas Airport. It was a 180-degree view at that time because there were no trees. So Gurney Drive all the way to Vainlapas. They called it Hikari. Hikari means light in Japanese because of the rising sun, I believe, and the connotation of the rising sun in Japanese. So soon after they left, they decided to anglicize the name to Hickory. So Hickory is an unofficial name of the bungalow. Another older name of Hickory is 𝐻𝐸𝐴 bungalow. 𝐻𝐸𝐴 was the second owner. The gentleman who had it in his family for 80 years. So most of the old-term residents on Penang Hill, those who worked in the railway or in the telecoms, the PWD or JKR, they were referred to it as 𝐻𝐸𝐴 bungalow. And they still refer to it as 𝐻𝐸𝐴 bungalow. Those who live on the top here. Yeah? So that is those are the two unofficial names. Next one, please. Now, this is a bit more about 𝐻𝐸𝐴, the second owner. He's got a flamboyant character. He was one of the first. This is the second jeep to travel up the jeep track. A second car, sorry, to travel up the jeep track. Way back in 1914. He was just a young boy of 14 years old, and you can see him standing there in front of the vehicle. The first driver up was in 1912. It's a Dutchman who brought his car across from Sumatra and drove it up. So you can imagine cars in those days could actually come up. So that's the car going up, and the other on the right is the car coming down. Judging by the photo and the gradient, it appears to be station 84. Those who come up by a jeep or who hike up are familiar with station 84. It's kind of the hub for all all the hikers and the trails to converge. So that's going down. Okay, so that's one of his achievements, one of the earliest. Next one, please. He is also a founding member of the Penang Flying Club. On the picture on the left, he's there, the third from the left, 𝐻𝐸𝐴, in front of one of the planes. He was reputed to be one of the first Malayans to fly from Penang to Singapore and back again on the same day. His wicker suitcases are still at Hickory, and you can see his initials there, TPS. Those are the suitcases he used when he traveled in his plane. It was, those planes with the twin, what do you call this? Twin wings. Yeah, biplanes. Okay, next please. Now this is Hickory just after it was built in 1929. Taken from a lower angle, but at those days you can see there were no trees around Hickory. This was taken from Lower Tunnel Road, looking down towards it. You can't see anything now from the same spot. The Japanese liked this place because of the view it had. Completely unrestricted view of the entire front of Georgetown. And that's the one on the right is a recent photo. The basic structure is there. There are a few more additions here and there, but you can see that it's more or less similar with just a few more things. The main house is still there, and the side and the back are still there. A front porch has been added that wasn't in the original structure. But you can see all trees now everywhere. And the drone shot couldn't come low enough to take at the same angle because the trees were in the way. But it's still fairly wooded. Next please. This is the renovations took 5 years, top down, literally top down, and mainly cosmetic, not much structural because it was a strong bungalow. And the house was converted to a lodge. So you can see the photos there at the beginning, taken 2014 and now. basically it looks the same, but it's just been embellished a bit, and the colors added to it to give it a bit more character and a bit of the old style look. Okay, the next, some of the challenges in renovating the place. One is lack of access. It was just a footpath going down. Now at least there's a road. You have to build a road first to get access to it. Next please. And it's a continuation of the road access leading towards 𝐒𝐸𝐴. Next please. The other was, there was a limited flat area on either side of the bungalow. So we had to extend the flat area. So now you have something that is, a slab had to be added on either side to allow for vehicles to turn, especially lorries bringing the construction material. So you can see it's a bit wider now. Next please. Same on the other side. You can see in the original photo, this side of the bungalow has only got a few feet of flat land, and then it just slopes downwards, so it's very limited. And we put the slab to extend this side of the land, and we put some structures on it. Next please. And this is the front, the porch, the original porch, and what it looks like now. So it's just touched up a bit. Next please. This is the courtyard at the back. Again, there was a pool there that was removed, and it's now just a bigger area, and it's just looks slightly better. Next please. This is the living room downstairs, as it was and as it is now. It's just decorated a bit more. Next please. And this is the upstairs living room. The lady in yellow there was a caretaker. She had been there for about 5 decades. She was 85 years old by the time I went there. So she had a very good history of the place. She and her husband had been there for a long time. They were very loyal to 𝐒𝐸𝐴. Despite it being empty, they just stayed on and looked after it. So, but when they realized that we were going to stay, they wanted to move away. Move back to the village. So that's the upstairs living room then and now. Next please. This is the view at night, day and night view. Night and day view. You can see the 2 bridges and Bukit Bendera. And the right corner, the right hand corner, that's the 𝐂𝐡𝐦𝐴, which is lighted up a little bit in the trees on the far right. Beautiful, see on the left hand photo. That's fine, that's it, just that. That is 𝐂𝐡𝐴 at night, lighted up. Okay, thank you. This is the second last slide. Can we go to the last slide, please? This is some of my personal thoughts on 𝐒𝐸𝐴. I'm of course quite new to Penang Hill, and I live, my place is further away from here, from the top. But what is important is to balance the tranquility of Penang Hill with the commercial activities that are going on. So both are equally important, so we just have to strike the right balance. The next will be perhaps slightly better infrastructure to allow for visitor dispersal. So as soon as they come out of the station, you can direct them in different directions so that they get away from the center, walk down some of the paths, not just Summit Road, but by Path A or some of the other paths that take them away from the center. Another would be to have an interactive self-guided walk. So there's something you can listen to as you walk along. You can take them along Summit Road and down some of the other parts, and then along to see some of the other bungalows and up again. And improved signages would be something that would also be helpful. And maybe have more public events on Penang Hill. That would also be a good thing. And finally, maybe a review of some of the commercial activities so that the more techy ones are removed, because they do not fit with the ethos of Penang Hill. And so that we have something that is more environmental, more educational, more enjoyable, less gimmicky. Okay, thank you. That's
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for sharing your journey so far. And I don't think it matters that you've only been associated, so to speak, with the Hill and the community here for 10 years. Because I think, as I was earlier alluding to previously, once the Hill has you in its grasp, it doesn't let go. As Dr. Chok will attest to, first he's here, he's joined us as well. As you can see, Dr. Chok from Penang Hill Corp, the person responsible for the Penang Hill Festival, and much of the improvements that we've seen on the Hill in the last almost decade now. So moving on now to our open discussion. I think Linda has left us already, yes? Yes, okay. So you've all shared some of your earliest and fondest memories of Penang Hill with us. And now I'd like to kick off our discussion by asking each of you why you feel that Penang Hill is such a special place, in your own words, and how you think we as a community can contribute to preserving what you feel is special about the Hill going forward. Raj, you want to start first? You up to you.
Yeah, it's always been a nice place, Penang Hill, from the early days. So what attracted me here was really the environment and the community up here. But when I first started coming out, just after about 8 years, come to the top, and there was still some of the old community here whom I met and talked to, and I could feel that they had a love for the place and the tradition for the place. So they were probably third or fourth generation on the hill. So I felt it was a very nice community on Penang Hill. As Amachi mentioned, it's kind of dwindling now, it's less and less of it. But that is one of the attractions here. For the future, I just hope that we can maintain the beauty of Penang Hill, the pristine environment that we are in. To continue to let others enjoy this for the generations to come. So that's really how I view Penang Hill.
Thank you.
First let me tell you what Penang Hill means as a person. Living here is really a real privilege. I could be in the city, hot and bothered and all that, and half an hour I'm up here, and really, even though the distance is only 4 or 5 kilometers, that's a different world, You come here just slightly cooler, very quiet, very peaceful. So in that way, I really treasure it. But more than that, I think how many cities in the world have a hill and a primary jungle over next to it. Okay, Bangkok has its Lumpini Park, but it's a park, not a tropical jungle. And don't forget that it is really a storehouse of a lot of biological treasures, which, as we said, too great pains to find out record. So I think that way is special to me, and it's special to all of us. I think this to the older Penangers, almost everybody will have a memory, a fond memory of Penang Hill, of childhood, like me, you woke up and my tight shoes. People who come and stay at Penang Hill, spend the whole evening and the whole night in Penang Hill, and the memories are still so deeply etched in the older folks.
No, most certainly. You just brought to mind another memory I have of the Hill, of staying at, I believe it was Southview, with some friends, and going on a night walk, being chased by dogs, running for our lives. It was, as you say, etched in my mind until today. So I'm going to open up the floor to questions from the floor. Would anyone like to ask the panelists a question? Yeah, Mark.
Jarasik mentioned the community spirit he once experienced many years ago. Of course, then you no longer experience it. But over the years, communities have and go and so on. So how do you find the community now compared to the other ones? And any ways to bring back the old community spirit?
No, sadly, I don't think there's a community in Penang Hill now. The few of us who are still there. We try to keep the sense of community, but it's not there anymore. And very sadly, become very solely commercial. Commercial competition has ruined it. Yeah, it's matter of regret. In fact, many years ago, when there was a plan to develop the pulley lines, I lobbied very strongly. I'm not sure if anyone took notice that some of the buildings that should be made into houses so that it can be occupied by people. In that way, create a community in Penang Hill. But I don't think anyone took notice of what I said, and I'm not sure what I did that proposal.
Well, definitely something that we can all pay mind and attention to. I hope that you're wrong, that you cannot capture community, because I think one of the, personally anyway, of course I was not here in the 80s and 90s, but personally what I feel is so special about Penang Hill is the sense of community. I guess because it's a small place, it's a relatively small place with and everybody tends to know each other, and I think one of the things that I love the most that makes me happiest is when I come to work up on Penang Hill, and it's almost like going into Cheers, the bar. Everybody knows your name. It's one of the things that I really love about it, and I have no small number of friends or associates who come with me and go, oh my god, you know everybody, like, no, actually it's like that one. It's just like that. Because really one of the things that I still cherish about Penang Hill personally. Any other questions from the floor? Yes.
Okay. Why is it this location called Penang Hill in English? Translated in Malay and Hokkien, it means Flagstaff Hill. So probably you can give an explanation.
For the panelists like glasses.
Yes, certainly. If you go to Port Cornwallis, there's very tall flagpole there. And there was another flagpole just where the governor's house is. Back then, it was used to communicate between the town and the. In fact, okay, there was another flagpole on. I can't remember which year it is. On the north coast, and it was used to as they were watching ships coming in. Don't forget, this was troubled times. A ship could come in, it could be a friendly ship, it could be a warship. So people would keep watch there, and when the ship came in, they would send signals through flags to Penang Hill, and those communicated to the city. So Malays call it Bukit Bendera, Bendera being flag, and the Hokkien similarly. Penang Hill was an English name. By the way, there's no Penang Hill,
Yes,
there's Western Hill, there's Tiger Hill, there's Government Hill, but that's not it. It's Penang Hills, a series of hills on Penang Hill. Okay.
So what is commonly known as Penang Hill is actually Bukit Bendera or Flagstaff Hill, which we are on now, the most developed of 6 peaks that form the range known commonly as Penang Hill. So it's Flagstaff Hill, Strawberry Hill, Halliburton Hill, Government Hill, Tiger Hill, and Western Hill. Those are the range of 6 hills that form what is commonly known as Penang Hill. 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻𝑚 is where we are, right now. This is 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻𝑚. Strawberry Hill is where David Brown is. Government Hill is the forest reserve that the habitat is next to.
So officially in the land title or what they those are placed as Penang Hill, actually, isn't it?
That's no, right? No.
That's a very interesting point. I'm sure the answer is somewhere out there. You need to find out. Can I invite other questions on the floor? Or Dato', do you have a question for us, the panelists? No?
Land title, there's no Penang Hill.
No Penang Hill. Okay. In that case, we're going to finish 3 minutes early. Oh no, half an hour early. We're going to finish very early. Thank you all again for joining us today. Thank you to our lovely panelists for sharing your wonderful stories with us. Thanks. And thank you again to Penang Hill Corporation for this wonderful festival that brings everyone together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen and the speakers for the interesting session. If there are no further questions, we would like to now invite Dato' 𝐶𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻𝑚, General Manager of Penang Hill Corporation, to present the souvenirs to the speakers and moderator.
Can
cross the line, cross the screen.
Review and
Shut off the
traffic. Since you guys are here, a lot of work is what we are doing. Yesterday we can talk about the transformation of Penang Hill, reimagining Penang Hill. So we're doing a bunch of things, a lot of things actually. So certain things on Penang Hill because of governed by legislation, private interest. Penang Hill is a big area, not a piece of, not one big plot of land. The Penang Hill already consists of stakeholders, among them forestry, state land, private land, some lands belongs to the other agencies and so on and so forth. So a lot of things that we do, we have to follow procedures. I know sometimes public is can be very impatient. And we all want, it's good thing to be patient because we want things to go fast. Penang Hill Corporation was set up with intentions to set policies, governmental controls, and manage the community services. And it also sets the agenda of socio-economic development. And a long list actually, so when I look at enactment in 2017. So, but they are not given the authority to do anything you like, any which way you want, anytime you say so. Whatever we do, we have to follow procedures, we have to engage stakeholders. Projects like Asaka this year we will improve, so we will just kind of hopefully they can appreciate the challenges and my colleagues going through. Even it's on a piece of literally no plot numbers. You cannot find that in the land office, but it's on state land. So the state land, you got to do survey, you got to make sure you can market it properly, and then before you do anything. So, there have been things that done in the past was not followed procedure, not very well documented. I'm not blaming them. Things that sometimes we learn to improve. We learn to improve over time. We learn to improve over time. That's why we get people to find ways, making sure that things we do according to procedures, and then the future generations of management, they will be able to do better. So things like traffic issues has been well known. You can know of it. Just appreciate the press point you that we have to set we can just stop traffic from coming in. Penang Hill, Penang Island itself is not a country. You don't set the rules. The state, you're part of the state actually. A bigger state. Because you have an island, you have. I'm speaking not because I'm government, I'm just speaking coming from corporate, and I understand the issues. Being a law-abiding citizen myself, so then I appreciate the process. And then you have afterwards to rise and price. So Penang Hill Corporation and Penang Hill alone is not one big piece of private land. And there's main gate that you want to collect carriage and collect fees. So hence, what we do, we have to work with stakeholders. The jeep track and all the way leading to the western hill, 800 meters back the 𝐶𝐸M is and also own the rail station. Right? That is a federal road. It's been gazetted that way, right? It's been legalized. Only the parliament or cabinet can change that. Right? So even with the traffic regulations 2020, but the effort actually started 2022. It was finally approved by the cabinet, but the work actually started 5 years before. 2017 itself, we started the effort about putting just the boom gate, just placing the condo in front of the jeep track. We have to go through many hoops and loops, working with agencies, find out who has authority. We can just build a small guardhouse. If you go to Botanic Garden, on the left side, the entrance of the jeep track, you see there's additional boom gate. And behind that, there is we call it a guardhouse, but it's not. It's actually a JKR site office that in the past was still to boom gate. Because they are the owner of the jeep track, they are allowed to do something. We are not. Penang Hill Corporation is not the landowner. So we are facilitator, we drive. So we work with all the various agencies, from Botanic Garden to land office, and each one of them they have to write, to the respective authority, go through the hierarchy, the chain of authorities, to give us to get approval, to give PHC's approval, to allow PHCs to build something, a very small stuff. Nobody can just unilaterally do this. So that process itself is took a long time. And that process itself we have to negotiate with JKR to agree that allows additional chronic boom gate so that we can control the traffic. And then the whole process took 5 years. And such that traffic regulations and the speed limit, and I know there are many not adhering to. I was walking around listening to the horning and all that. So I'm just guessing whether the jeeps they really adhere to the speed limit that all the speed limit, parking, it's all in there, right? So it takes time. 5 years, longer. Finally, got cabinet to approve. We push it through. There are people unhappy. There are residents unhappy about it. To talk about, the beginning community, how I wish that, I got a united voice. Some feel that, some happy actually because we say there's additional security. One comment I got is now my property actually has high value because PHC is paying for it. Nobody, we do not collect carriage. We don't collect carriage, we don't collect fees just to have additional security. But that is not a security, it's actually meant to control traffic now. Only those who are permit, official, residents, of course, we get priorities. They have a privilege. Government agencies, and all those who have official authorities will only be allowed to use the jeep track and come to do. That process, and as I said, took a while. And then, but to influence, to get people to change their behavior, I think that was going to take a long road. We have just that project. We have many engagement sessions with the residents, all the stakeholders, business operators, cable car project, I personally answered at least 60% or 70% of the over 30 sessions with various stakeholders from all the way up to the group. So it is a long process. Also allow us to take a bit of time. Which I'm the landowner. If I'm landowner, I can just shut off everything immediately. Press the reset button, and then we all can go to sleep. Tomorrow will be better tomorrow. So a better day for everyone. Regarding the techie commerce activities, we are aware. And as a citizen, government, we don't just shut off people's rice bowl. It is what it is. They're there. So you see kind of looking place for them. So that we can bring all to one place. One of the places we presented yesterday was a clean line, which is our physics development. As soon as the food court is done, then we will start developing. So our intention is to bring all quote-unquote techy stuff into that very centralized, the center of whatever noise they want to make, and we will set regulations and policies and so on. And so everywhere else ought to be as pristine as it can be, as tranquil as it can be. That's now our goal. And then if you are interested at the Dataran, the open area, we have a small exhibition of a concept, summit area concept master plan, which we really talk about. Dividing the whole area, Penang Hill, all the way to 𝐂𝐡𝐤𝐤, making them to see how we, for the next 10, 15 years, sort of development, quote-unquote, that we will be doing to ensure that things are done systematically, what can be there, what cannot be there, should and should not be, in certain places. So this is a task of many corporations working with the community. We hope that kind of press one next time. When you come up to Penang Hill, we all need to be patient, cool down, blood pressure ought to come down. Don't get excited, okay? Situations where sometimes hikers, after hiking out, they get upset with all kinds of things. So I don't know why, it takes time, right? Everybody learns to do. I learn to do. I want to see the overdeveloped group. I spend my time outside the country for many years as well. But it is what it is. So we just have to keep on doing things, engaging the local community, educate them. The behaviors and practices that have been there for 50, 60 years, it's not easy to change. But it takes time. So hopefully the newer generation, younger generation will get to appreciate, and then we'll see that transformation. So we have transformed 100 years, and then I think hopefully the next 100 years I think Penang Hill will be even a much better thing. Alright?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. for taking the time to address some of the questions that were raised by our speakers, and I think that it's plain for all of us, especially those of us who are here and stakeholders on the Hill, to see how much better things are and how much work you and your team have taken to put in place the framework to ensure that Penang Hill remains, what makes Penang Hill special and precious remains intact going into the future, way beyond all of us here in this room. Yeah? So thank you so much for all the hard work. It's complicated, as we have said, in multiple stakeholders and interests. So if you have no other... yes?
Clarify touch on the cable car project. Is it proceeding or has it been officially scrapped? Because it was so controversial.
In every engagement session, cable car was for us. So I myself just bring it up. So we don't play hide and seek. Cable car is officially on. There's been planned for 20+ years. This is the local plan 1998. Penang Hill local plan. Cable car is actually known to be environmental friendly transportation. It is in many major cities too. not for hills. You look at South America, high density, that is the best way closest to build structures and so on. So many UNESCO World Heritage status, Biospheric Reserve, Zoo Park, and so on. They have cable car. Not all of them, but I think the famous one, 60-70%, will likely have cable car systems. I personally have. I actually traveled with a number of them, not because of my job, but because of living overseas. I traveled and then I been there in national parks, spent a lot of times in national parks. Even Rocky Mountains also, that's one. So it's officially done. The state has decided to do it. So when the project was given to us and had me assigned, I determined to do it properly, right? So we set a team for 5 years, we study alignment, we adjust. Some of the old alignments didn't make any sense. It's not just the alignment itself, so we even take pains to take into consideration the location of each pylon, how we could construct, erect the pylons, and even where the station ought to be located. And what problems are we solving, what problems are we creating, what are the problems we create. So one of the biggest things that the issues that we want to resolve is the traffic issue that already happened. So with the cable car, now the government has an incentive motivations to put money to intersect some of the problems. They're not just sort of bringing people to the hill, but also sort of resolving the issue of Botanic Garden. So Botanic Garden, under the special area plan, is supposed to be a much bigger area, and then I always feel that Botanic Garden ought to be respected, be revered, because it has a history. It's a place that you walk in, it must be walkable. So in our proposal, a few years ago, the state expo said, I personally presented and said there is no cable car, there should not be any cable car service without a multi-story car park. These two must go in tandem, and the state followed to it. The concessionaire in our RFP is followed to it. So hence, concessionaires will build the multi-story car park, 700 parking bays. If there's any overflow, the new temple is going to open up, then there's a new car park. So from the multi-story car park, it's only 450 meters at best, walking. If you go to some of the places in Europe, the parking, you almost walks 800 meters. What's wrong with walking? If you go to Jakarta, if you go to Borobudur, the parking is minimum 600 meters to 800 meters. So I studied that to look at the parking lot, the nearest point and the furthest point, almost 1 kilometer. So we have to start educating people about. I personally say Yogyakarta and Borobudur in Spain. If you go to any of the castles, there is no parking. It's so close, to the entrance. So I think people are beginning to buy in. Now we had a groundbreaking ceremony recently in the Bukit Bendera. So there will be a big, hopefully majestic gate that's called Penang Botanic Garden. No public vehicles will be allowed to go in. And only the residents like Samachi, Dr. Rajananda, because they are residents of Penang Hill, they get an access card. So there will be double security. Now they are property, so appreciate even more. So this is the effort. It took a long time. So over 30 sessions, some residents didn't like it because they felt more control. In fact, there's some residents on here that didn't like. What is good for the majority should be good for everybody. That is the way we look at it. So we're going to push that. Everybody bought into it. There's some agencies still not convinced. We're still working through the details. But hey, we got to state government must have to review how to do our stuff. So hopefully you start to see improvement, right? So the cable cars, and there's a lot of papers journals, as people who put on the paper card, they actually learn to appreciate the nature of the home. So, and I put it such that, when I'm, if any of you or not, I'm 90 years old, it's not easy to take international. So the reason why is that there's a steps that I'm able to choose. Cable car, with the wheelchair, you're able to come up to any point just right here, and then just move on. So every infrastructure since a few years ago, we try our best to make it requirement as senior friendly, wheelchair friendly, apparently oriented way. So you go up the station today, there's escalator, the new station, escalator, up, lift to the main. When you go down to the KPP bungalow, wheelchair, you go wheelchair all the way to that habitat, and on the Rango way, you can take it, except for the distress. To make this. So nowhere, not many places around the world, we put that level of thoroughness into our planning and our design. So hence, cause the cable car to save it. So when we do the erect pylon, the alignment is as close to the tip track as it can be, such that all the pylons, we built drains after the 2017 landslide. We built a lot of drains as we go by each one of them. So we're going to utilize the drain, build beaches above the drain and slide down the side. So all this incur huge increase in cost. But I think it will be good. So for consumption, so we take a lot of innovation. So we'll see. Long answer to and I know there are a lot of burning questions that what happened in Thaipusam? So during Thaipusam, it will be scheduled maintenance for the cable cars. So there will not be cable car service to the public. So hence the question about Thaipusam was not right. So I made it very, very clear to when we were planning for it, I made it very clear to the concession that no cable car service. We still have some control over how things go. I hope that.
Thank you, Dr. Alright, so I think if we have no more questions, we'll proceed to the next part of the program. Yeah?
Now we would like to invite Dr. 𝐂𝐡𝐤𝐤 to present a token of appreciation to the speakers and moderator.
Yes, Dr. please.
Okay, first up, Mr. Amashik. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello, Amachik. Okay, here please.
Over there.
Hello, here. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, let us present the token of appreciation to Dr. Raj.
Okay, one more here. Alright, nice.
Okay, last but not least, to our moderator, Mr. Alan Tan.
Okay, over there first.
All right.
Thank you.